Here's a brief overview of how to use zybooks. This should be the screen you see when you log in. You should see a My Library. Hopefully you should also see your book, and then also this. This is probably the best place to start. It's just how to use a zybook, basics. I would do this certainly first at this point. Certainly stop the video and try this on your own. This will give you quite a bit of background. Navigate, I'm going to go back up to the library, and I'm going to click on the book we're using. And the way I'm going to show it to you is I'm going to try and do most, or not most of them, but a few of the steps here. So here we have our table of contents: introduction to C, variables and assignments, branches, loops, arrays, user-defined functions, and additional material. There's additional parts in this book that I've taken out just to make it fit our schedule and our timeline. You may see something different here. I have a My Class, gives me, I can see who's registered and so on. When you subscribe, you can, I believe you can just enter any name you want. Don't really care. I'll figure out who's who if you don't use a different name. Reporting. So we'll talk about this in a second, but there's ZY Labs activities, challenge activities, and participation activities. I can get this is an aggregate view, and only one person has really started. I can get an aggregate view of where the class is. If I also generate a report here, I can see individually which things people have finished. And then here's also where I can generate assignments these are really suggested due dates. If you want to keep up, these are what you should have done by these dates. So let's dive into this. So introduction to C, programming in general. I think that's the same video that was at the top. The way you do this is you read it. There's little activities here. If I press start, you'll see something moving here. So x equals get input, put a 2 in, x now has the value 2. It'll stop at the first step, and until you press play, and then you see the next instruction, and it'll keep going until that's done. And so you can also hit 2x speed if you'd like it to go a little quicker. And it just shows you, this is a quick example showing you what a computer does. It runs some instructions. And then once you've viewed that, you can go down here and start answering these questions. My window's a little big. You should find the right size that works for you anyway. So there's questions. So how many, the program has a total number of what instructions, blank instructions? 1, 2, 3, 4 instructions. So you type a 4 in here, check your answer, it tells you correct. Suppose a new instruction was inserted as follows. So they're going to do z equals x plus y. So add z equals x plus y, so we're going to have that. And then it's going to say add 1 more to z, new instruction. So whatever was in z, you're going to add 1. Well, let's see, there was a 2 in x, a 5 in x. 2 plus 5 is 7. Add 1 to that. And I'm going to make a mistake. Should be 9. You get it incorrect. You can, at this point, show the answer if you really want. Answer's 8. Put in the right answer. Check. And I've already done some of these, but as you move through these, and these are participation activities. Oops, that's not the right answer. Participation activities, you'll get a check mark here, and this gets reflected on my class display, so I can see where you are. Now I'm not gonna be maintaining, I'm not gonna be watching this 24/7 to see what you're doing, but it lets me see where people are. If you're getting behind, I can email you or work with you to see what we can do to see where the issues are. And so these are participation activities. You don't have to do them, but they're worth some points. And this is very much the same setup here. Run the program is kind of showing you what a program, simple program, looks like. More questions. This one is this is where you're going to create a little program. So let's see, we press run. Pen goes down, it goes forward, left 120, forward, left 120, forward to 100. And it says here, add an instruction. Click on orange button, pen down, delete an instruction. So now, let's see, where else? Oh, this is just for playing around. There's no specific requirement on this one. So you can have it draw square, things like that. If I do at here, if I do pin forward 50, oops, enter, turn left 90. It's going to do the triangle, keep going, enter. So you can see I'm adding steps here. There's a, oh, I didn't do a turn, did I? Let's get rid of one. Let's do a turn left, enter. I can move that up into the middle there, and now we can see what it's doing. This is all things just to help you learn how to program. We'll keep going through here, looking at some things. Another activity here to see what this program is doing. More questions. And the nice thing about this book is it presents something and then asks you some questions to reinforce the learning. Okay, let's look at this. This is how we actually write programs. So this is a program. At the time you're watching this, you don't really have to know what these things are. We're gonna go over that. The book's gonna go over that in later videos. But I have some startup stuff here, declaring a variable. Wage equals 20, and then print the salary. Salary is, and then D is our variable. That's wage. So we're going to say salary is, print a number, and that number is going to be wage times 40 times 50. So if you think about it, 20 times 40 times 50 is 40,000. And then print a line return, and then we're done. So it says change 20 to a different number like 35. So we'll do that and then run it. And there the answer, of course, is 70,000. So that's how when you get to it, you can write programs. This is your programming environment. Obviously, in a real programming environment, we would do this differently, and we'll get into that later in the term about how that works. Right now, it's all done for you, or you do it all in a window. Here's another one. Now let's see, here's another basic input one. I'm going to hit run, does that. Just to show you what happens, I'm going to start making some mistakes. So there I'm missing a semicolon. You get that kind of error. And we'll do some more stuff later. Next video will cover what to do about errors, but we'll put the semicolon back in. And now it runs. Now let me come all the way down here. Let's see. Right. So there's participation activities. These aren't graded, by the way. These are for practice. Another activity. There's something called a challenge activity. Now the challenge activity, I don't know, a little bit more involved than a simple question, like the participation. So here, let's see. So this is asking you to predict what the computer is going to do. So if we start, it blanks it out, and it looks like it's printing out Sam is great. So you come over to your keyboard. Let's see, that's all great, and a period. Do your check. Yes. Hit next. Now it's asking you to do an space is space, good period. One thing about C and all programming languages, every character is super important. Spaces, semicolons. When I'm programming myself, I'll sometimes talk it out and I say and space is space to kind of highlight the fact that there's a space. So I'll check that. That's good. Do one more. Now this is where the \n's are line feeds, and you'll have, by the time you get to this point, you'll have learned about that. But I'm going to type it like I might think it might be. Happy, and I'll hit check, and it'll tell me, oh, that was almost correct, and give me some tips on what it should have been, what mine was, and what it should have been. So you can go back, and it looks like it should have said Joe. Let's see. Oh, that's right. I can't fix it until I click next. So Joe, so we'll fix it. Let's see, enter. And there's no space in front of the is. So we'll do that. Backspace that. And now we'll see if it works. And there we go. So that's a challenge activity. And in here there's challenge activities and participation activities. Challenge activities are worth a little bit more. Then we have what we call labs. So I'm going to jump right to the lab, and keep in mind, you haven't covered all the places up to this. I'm just showing you the mechanics, and this gives you some instructions about what to do. And these are programs that are automatically graded. So you have to read the instructions, and this is telling us here's a program. There's a bug here, fix it when instructed. But first we'll be in develop mode, which we're already in, and we'll say, looks like it's, let's see, we're in int, we have two variables. Looks like it wants a number, so we'll try 3, and it's supposed to user num squared, so 3 squared. 3 to the raised to the 2 power should be 9. So if I run it, hopefully I should see a 9. Instead I saw 6. I can think it's right, and I can hit submit. And it's going to think a little bit, and it's going to tell me that it runs some tests, and the tests are incorrect. And I see if I put in a 2, I should have got a 4. And I did get a 4, so that's okay. When I put in a 12, when the test puts in a 12, my program, as it is, did 24. Should have been 144. So come back up to develop mode, and it looks like the fix we need to make is it's not usernum plus usernum, it is usernum, and we can just do for right now, user, just multiply it by itself. Later on we'll learn some math functions for square and so forth. Alright, so I made a fix. Output formatting issue here, fix it when instructed. Well, we don't know what that is, so we'll try running the program again. Go back to develop mode. Okay, now it looks like with our data we're entering, we'll try a different number. We'll try 10. That should be 10 squared is 100. Okay. Now let's submit. Maybe we're there. All right, output nearly correct. So let's see, we put in a 2, or the test put in a 2, out came a 4. That's the right answer, but looks like there was supposed to be a line feed. So I will come over here and add the line feed, which is a \n. Go back to develop mode, run it. It's hard to see the difference here. It looked like it was 10 before, it's still 10, but that's because the line feed is invisible. So we'll put it in submit mode, submit for grading. And then each of the tests in the system passed, 1 out of 1, so you get 3 out of 3. And again, this goes into that view, the class reporting view that I have, and so I'll see that you've finished this and you get some credit for it. Let's see. These are visible to me because I'm the instructor. I don't think you have this view as a student. So there's the three types. We had simple questions that are participation activities, challenge activities, which are a little bit more complicated, and then these lab activities. If I go back up to the top, now each section, this one has 4 separate labs that you do. When you're ready, you'll move on to variables and assignments. Again, we can kind of drill down into something. So there's some examples that you read through, some questions about what's in that program, what does it do, a challenge activity, which in this case it requires you to add some lines to an existing program and run it. Navigation is a little funny, so you have to get used to that. Anyway, we have all those sections here, branches, loops, arrays, and the idea is that you work at your own pace. Everything you need to know is pretty much in here. I'll add some videos about special topics, but the book, this interactive book, should just guide you along. All right, so I would say try the you should try the video practice video, or the practice, watch that video for, and up at the top here, you know, try experiment with this one, and then come back and certainly get started on this book and see how it goes. All right, thanks.